It is Platinum Fridays, KFM 95.9. I am the best tea in the city. And today on my Top 10 at 10, we are going to Derby, UK. And we're hanging out with the one and only AtJazz.
Good morning.
Are you freezing?
It is middle. Well, no, we're coming out of winter.
Yeah.
So it's just becoming spring. So it's a healthy 9 degrees outside.
Before you and
so
I...
my bones are cold.
Yeah. Before you and I are friendly, which team do you support? Let's start there.
You know what? Any that you support, because I'm not really a soccer head. So who do you support?
I'm an Arsenal fan.
Do you know what? Everyone's an Arsenal fan, man.
Of course.
Everyone's an Arsenal fan. It's a thing. It's like isn't that just being trendy?
No.
See, I think by default I have to be an Arsenal fan because people will know Ross, my bass player that comes to SA with me when we play live.
Yeah.
Ross is an avid Arsenal fan, and if I said that I would even dare to sniff at another team,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have a friend anymore.
There you go. How come you're in the UK? How come you're not a football head?
I'm an artist. I'm into, I was into skateboarding, breakdancing, making music on video games and playing games and generally doing that side of things. I've played football at school and five-a-side when you're a bit older and things like that, but never been to a football game. My dad was a football medic.
Okay.
So and he was super into football, as is my brother. But
And he never rubbed off on you, because that's how we get to love soccer. We take it from our dads.
I don't know. Just didn't. I used to find it the most boring thing. That and horse racing on the TV. It was like the world was coming to an end.
Oh, what a worst comparison! Oh,
Raining outside, horse racing on the TV. No electricity.
Oh my word!
Well, there was electricity. No, we had a TV.
Yeah, we are moving into autumn now. Trees are starting to wither a bit. So yeah, that's where we are. At least we still have the sunny weather. I'm in short sleeves, so yeah. Soon you'll be my envy.
Your autumn is still really nice though. I've been there in all seasons, and even in the winter, it's not too bad.
Oh yeah.
I know.
I'm hanging out with Martin Everson, aka AtJazz, but because now this is Kaya FM in South Africa, I'm hanging out with Temba. You must love your name.
I got gifted that name, 8 years ago or something. People started using the word Temba, and I asked my friend Gobs,
yes,
what does Temba mean? And he was like, it means hope.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
So that I don't think I deserve that that qualification, to be honest.
I think I know why. Your consistency, your passion, and your love for music, it permeates through in everything that you touch. And not only that, it looks like everybody wants to work with Temba, aka AtJazz. Why is it that everybody is on your door wanting you to remix their work?
I don't know. That's I think that's for them to tell me. I think you're right in saying that I am consistent, but I'm a working class person, and I grew up on what we call a council estate, what the Americans call a project.
Yeah.
I grew up with very little, to be honest.
Yeah.
A nice family, which was great. I have quite a big family actually, but we didn't have very much money when I was young. And I always find that what I do for a living is quite bizarre considering my upbringing.
Yeah.
I find that I am an incredibly fortunate person, and I'm not going to waste the opportunity that I've been given to do what I do. So therefore, my work ethic is literally get up and go to work, don't moan about it.
And where did that come from? The music in particular.
The music, that's a weird that I've been asked quite a lot, and only in the last couple of interviews I've done that I've tried to really, really go back in my memory banks as to, my brothers and sisters are quite a lot older than me. They're 8, 9 and 10 years older than me.
Okay.
So when I was born, they were already, a bit older and playing outside with their friends, so I didn't get to have the playtime with a younger sibling, if you know what I mean, or a slightly older sibling. So I was left on my own quite a bit, as I remember, which is fine. I'm quite happy being on my own. But we had a radiogram. I don't know whether you know what one is. It's like a big wooden thing with the speakers down the side. You lift the wooden top up and you've got the record deck inside and a little slot for some vinyl, which obviously had the Grease album in it because everyone had that, and a Barry White record.
Yes.
And I used to pile the records on top of each other, and one was finished, the next one was dropped down.
Yes.
And it would automatically play.
Yes.
But I used to play around with that. It also had a radio on it. So we had a few Northern Soul Motown records in there, and I used to dial around on the radio to find things. I think I was just really interested in sound.
Sure.
You know. So I think that's like my earliest memory of music. I had my brother, my big brother Tony, he bought me a little Casio tone keyboard. He didn't even have proper keys on it. It's like little rubber buttons. And I used to copy the cartoon themes off the TV.
Okay.
And I could get the tuning just right. It was right. It was perfect, and the timing was perfect. So I just naturally really enjoyed the sound thing, you know, and that obviously that when I started doing video game music and sound effects and sound design, it that transferred quite well, because, you know, I don't sit here making MIDI music all day trying to find sounds to fit. I generate sounds all the time for my music, so I class myself as a sound designer first anyway, you know.
It is Platinum Fridays, and we're hanging out with AtJazz, talking about his life in music. 20 odd years doing this thing. Yeah. So soon we'll be celebrating 3 decades. Looking forward to it? Definitely, I'm sure.
Yeah. This is, what is it now? So it's 20... This is my 25th... Yeah, 25th year.
So 2026.
So yeah, 1996 was my first release as AtJazz. That was my story EP on my own label, actually.
Yeah.
Back then. So yeah, it's 25 years this year. Whoa.
How did the name AtJazz come about?
I stole it off a Top Cat cartoon. That's the straight answer. I'm not changing my answer and staying with it. I did actually steal it from a Top Cat cartoon. There was a character in Top Cat.
Yeah.
You know Top Cat TC.
Yes.
He's got a girlfriend. Very New York accent.
Yeah.
And this cool guy comes in with a flat cap and it's like steals Top Cat's girlfriend.
Yes.
And he goes to this guy's house and he knocks on the door. And this guy answers the door. And he goes, what do you want? And he says, where's my girl? And he says, what's your name anyway? And he goes, Jazz. AtJazz, and slams the door in Top Cat's face.
Oh,
and then he knocks on the door again. He comes to the door and he says, what does the AT stand for? And he says, all that.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
All the jazz.
There you go.
Now we know.
I'm obviously a massive jazz fan as well. I'm a huge jazz collector, but I also find jazz is, more than anything, music expression in whatever direction it can go in,
and it's free. The freedom,
yeah, mate, it's so cool, and it transfers onto electronic music very well, because electronic music can go in any direction, you know. So I find a lot of electronic music is jazz in its own right, without the scales, without the complexity in the music. It's still got that opportunity to be wide, you know.
I'm still in the Everson household, and here you are, young man loving his music, and he's clearly, very attracted to this thing. Father is a medic. Chances are he's thinking, who's going to take after me? Did you have complications in terms of choosing what you're going to do with your life? You know how it is when it comes to career choices and parents.
When I was, 15 when you do your career choices at school, I looked into all sorts of things and I didn't want to do anything. I went for a job interview at a kitchen fitting company, and the guy swore at me and told me that the people from my town were idiots. So I was really quite fearful and walked away and didn't want the job, even if he'd offered it to me, because I didn't want to be in that environment.
Yeah.
Then I got a job in a small factory, an independent company, pleating material for curtains and skirts when I was 17.
Sure.
So I was, I got a job straight away. I needed to earn money in order to not have to get a horrible job. So pleating material and listening to the radio all day was okay, and drinking cups of tea was okay by me. It wasn't very highly paid, but it was enough. But in that time, I was still doing the music at home. You know, I was still on my Commodore Amiga making music, and I got a little freelance job to do a bit of intro music for a video game by a company called Psygnosis.
Yes.
It was quite a big game, it turned out to be, and they had about 7 different musicians work on it. And from then, I started to get the odd little bit of interest for video games work, and I think, you know, I was only 16, 17 when this kind of stuff started to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And it wasn't long after that before one of my friends, who I knew like a pen friend kind of thing.
Sure.
Very geeky. It was very geeky too. It was super geeky. And he got a job as a coder, and they needed an in-house musician. And at 17, that's when I moved away from home to start a career in sound design and music for video games, like composing.
Did you formalize it with any education, or you learned by experience?
It was literally learning by experience and mistakes.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a hopeful thing for people out there that don't feel, you know, I'm quite intimidated by my peers. You know, I hang out with people like JD73, Kaidi Tatham,
sure.
Mark DeClivelo, and these guys are all like the top end piano players. You know?
Yeah.
And they're all saying to me, "No, you're dope. You're cool, man. What you do is what you do. You know, it's how you do it." And they always play it down, but I know that these guys are absolute chiefs in what they do. But they recognise that you also, you know, are limited by education. As soon as you know scales and you all of a sudden you're sticking to scales.
Yes.
The rules are in place. You're sticking to rules. Whereas without the education, if you can learn enough about the music to kind of get you by, you'll grow in your own way like a tree. You know.
You are a dad now. Obviously, you run
Yes.
your household by rules, and the little ones come to you and says, "Hey, I'm AtJazz Junior." What
Mr.
is your
Jazz to them.
What is your response?
So they're both quite they both get it. They're both rhythmic. They both sing a lot in the house when they're watching TV or I won't tell my oldest son, but we listen to him when he's in the shower, and he sings songs like a girl. It's brilliant. No, it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And my oldest son Art, his name is kind of a jazz name, named primarily after Art Blakey, and then our who was a drummer, obviously.
Yes.
Everyone, Art Blakey, in the Jazz Messengers, Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, everyone
Yes.
went through him.
Yes.
And then you have Rudy, which is my younger son. He's 5, and that's Rudy Van Gelder's another jazz drummer. So Rudy really loves coming into the studio and playing on the synthesizers.
Yes.
He's really mad into making noises, where Art will set up a sound, close his eyes, and make the music, if you know what I mean. So they do get it.
Yeah.
But I don't think they like to be under my teachings, because I've been, you know, in lockdown since on and off since last March. Mr. Jazz, the teacher at home, I've been doing all the schooling, so I think they've had enough of me, to be honest.
Are you looking forward to them choosing this path?
They can choose whatever they want to
Yes.
do. I don't think it's difficult to really put this into perspective, isn't it, these days? Because I'm 47 this year, and when I was a kid, we didn't have the distractions of iPads and, you know, the internet and whatever. So I'm not really sure what's available for children when they get a bit older and start 15, 16, 17 years old, and they have to start making decisions on what they want to do for their lives. I've solidified my business in a way that it would probably be advantageous for them to continue it once I'm gone.
Sure.
So it's one of those things. I'll see what, you know, they're still children. I'm just going to let them be kids for the time being, and if they're interested in music, they're interested, and I'm sure over time, when they get a bit older and they come in and they see what's happening, they'll feel like they want to get involved, and in that case, I'll start making tunes with them.
It is Platinum Fridays. I'm hanging out with AtJazz, a.k.a. Temba, all the way live from the UK. And here we are celebrating his music. Don't get me started on what he did with the Ra Band tune. Don't get me started what he did with Afro Traction, Julian Gomez, Vikasa. Anything he touches is just too sublime. It is just platinum. He puts platinum into anything he touches. And we celebrate him today on my Top 10 at 10. Temba, why South Africa?
You know, I've got a history with South Africa, actually. When I was 7, I think, my sister moved to South Africa. to live with her family, and she got a job in a bank in Sosselberg.
Yeah.
And she lived there for nearly 2 years. I didn't see her obviously in that time, and I got to talk to her on the telephone. It was a very big occasion when Julie was on the phone, so everybody had to stop what they were doing and spend half an hour to have a talk. So she lived in SA. She had a South African boyfriend.
Which years are these?
Oh my goodness, I would have been 7, so like 40
That's 40 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot, South Africa was a much different place back then.
Mm-hmm.
So she lived there, then she came back and really she wanted fish and chips so badly. So we got fish and chips.
Yeah.
And then I had soda pop with my fish and chips and ended up spending the night vomiting. I remember that very clearly. I was 9 when she moved back home. Yeah, those lovely memories. And then my ex-girlfriend's brother James, he's now a doctor of soil and lots of agricultural stuff actually.
Sure.
But he was based in a township called Alice, which is I think is kind of
Eastern
the nearest
Cape.
place you can. Yeah, Eastern Cape, down by East London.
Yes.
And so he basically lived there, and then he started dating a girl, also girl. She was a princess actually.
Yeah.
She came to stay at my house here in Derby.
Wow.
It was quite weird having a princess in the house. At the same time, a little bit annoying having a princess in the house because I think she wanted everything done for her,
Hey, look on the bright side. Your house was a castle, okay?
Hey, there you go. It was for the week that she came to stay, that's for sure. V-Way, her name was.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was a really nice girl. So that was really nice. So we got to talk about lots of things. I told her about my sister living in South Africa and stuff. So when I came to South Africa, which by the way, last week, marked my 10th anniversary of going to SA for the first time.
What?
Yeah, so I played House 22 for the first time last week, 10 years ago.
Wow.
End of February 2011 it was. So yeah, that was quite nice. So that's when I met all my friends, It's when I met
If
Julian
it wasn't for
in
lockdown,
the
you were
flesh.
supposed to be here to celebrate it.
I know, mate. Honestly, I've missed out a lot of things in the last year that I went to celebrate. My history with South Africa was there. So it didn't feel alien to go. It's not like going to Japan or to Korea or something like that where I've been where the way of life is so different and the language is different. When you come to South Africa, majority of people speak English anyway. It's obviously a second language.
Yes.
And a first language for many. So it felt, putting my feet on the ground did not feel like I was away from home, if that makes any sense. So some places you go, you feel weird. Some places you go, you don't.
Yeah.
So it felt really, really nice for me, and I got looked after very well by Tulani, the warrior.
Tulani the warrior.
And love. And he introduced me to Mangoba Sishi, my really dear friend, as in, D-Gobs.
Yes.
And he looked after me and was my bodyguard for 2 weeks.
Good. You need that.
I met everybody, man. It was honestly, it was so lovely. It was so nice. It was so nice. I couldn't hear it when I played my first gig at House 22.
Yes.
I had a version of Moment that I'd made specially for the South Africa trip, and it started with the wrong beats, and then the music started to filter. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah.
And the people's, even before it really kicked in, there was so many screams, and it's almost like the world was shaking. It was the amount of noise that was being made.
Sure.
It was really magical. I was shaking when I was DJing. Yeah, it was like really at the heyday of House 22 as well. So it was really beautiful. But I have a lot of gratitude to Ralph Gunn, because I remember Ralph playing Moment and sending me a text message saying, "Look at this video," and he was DJing somewhere, and there was about 600, 700 people beneath him on the dance floor.
Yes.
Hailing the words from the Moment remix I'd done for Musaria, on Saturna.
Yes.
So it was like, for me it was this happens to a lot of people, right place at the right time with the right song, and I'm very lucky that I ended up being a popular visitor in South Africa, because I would rather it be nowhere else, to be honest. So
Do you remember the year you released that song?
Moment was 2010. So I did a remix. It was for Headset Recordings in the States, actually,
Yes.
and it was Musseria and Saturna who did the original.
Yes.
And I did the remix for them under like a connection with my friend Ray in Ireland.
Yeah.
And they licensed it to some kid in South Africa for a compilation.
Yes.
This didn't really see the light of day, really, you know. It just blew up, and then the remix was basically more popular than the original song. So I mean that happens a lot in dance music anyway, where you get someone like, you know, DJ Spinner or Wajid or someone like that, where may remix something and it would be blown up into a different kind of sound, you know, different energy. So it was 2010, so that it had been celebrated for a few months before I came over there. So it was, like I say, really, really like spot on timing. But I think, of course, of the popularity of the back of that tune and the previous music, Talani, obviously, who was into the music, thought it might be a good idea to kind of join forces for this tour. So it was really good, and then did the remix for Bosseru as well. So
I remember playing a gig as we were crossing over to the new year 2010. That's why I deliberately asked you if you remember the year. That was my crossover song. Moment was this song. Midnight.
Oh my gosh.
And you can imagine what happened. That video that Ralph sent to you, that's exactly what happened, because it was such a big song, and still is to this very day. It is a classic of classics.
Oh.
When you saw the reaction to what you cook up in Dabi, and you saw it on the southern tip of the world, and you saw the reaction, the love, and how big house music is here. Like you said, goosebump moments. But what was your first reaction? What did you think?
It was maybe not as big as what people expect, actually. I'm quite measured when it comes to my work. I don't employ the famous banner. I don't think that's something that should be used in independent music. I see it as a job, and this is my work. So my first thing is, you know, without the original song, I would never have made this. Where are the people that made this song so that they could be here and enjoy it with me? Second thing is, thank you. That's amazing.
Yes.
You know. Also, I don't think it's the best remix I've ever made. Also, I struggled deciding whether to do it or not. So I was in conflict. I was sharing my office at the time with my dear friend Stuart, who is my graphics artist for the label, actually.
Yes.
Shouts to Stuart. And I said to him, what should I do about this song? I said, it's really good, but is it too poppy? Is it? And he went, just do it, man, just do it. And I was like, okay, I'll just do it. I'll just do what you say then, shall I? And then I'll bring it up in a pub later and be passive aggressive about it. And he can get delayed anger.
He can get delayed anger.
Just like what you were talking about yesterday.
Exactly. I love the fact that you listen to the show. Oh man.
Hey, come on.
Listen.
So yeah, it's it's one of those things. I'm not going to sit here like some super producer going, yeah, it's cool, man. It's the vibe's amazing. People love it. It's just great. I love this. I've got the best job in the world. This is, facts are, I'm a realist, and I'm really grateful that everyone loved Moment remix so much. I really am. It propelled
and so much more
my opportunities for South Africa. Coming over there in that time, I've signed countless artists from South Africa. Worked with many. Yesterday I did a remix for Sux, with Lazarus Man, because it's coming out on my label. But I said, throw me the vocals. I've got an idea, and I've been moving house. I've not written any music for a couple of months, so I'm dying to get some sounds going. And so there's an excitement. There's also complications of people not having any money in South Africa, and them they're desperately wanting a career in music.
Yes.
All I can say is, don't give up your day job. You've got to work, and then work at night. Don't sleep. That's what I did.
Oh yeah.
When I was working for the video games company, I worked from 9:30 to 5:30 every day, earning my money. Then at 7 o'clock at night, I went to my studio and I worked till 3 o'clock in the morning, and I did that for 10 years. That's how I funded becoming who I am. I
Great
paid
advice.
for myself.
Great advice.
So you've got to have a full-time. You've got to work twice as hard. And if you want it, you will. If you don't, you're not going to make anything of it.
We're back. We're live from Johannesburg. He's live in Derby, the UK. London, right?
No, actually, I'm like, 120 miles north of London. I'm quite far.
You're far. Why did you move away from the city?
I was never in the city. I'm actually 3 hours north from here, where I'm from. So I'm kind of up by Newcastle, close to Scotland originally. So I moved south to Derby, which is right in the middle. So if I've got to go to London, it takes me 2.5 hours to get there.
Jeez.
So yeah.
And when you get gigs within Europe from where you are, but transport is never an issue for UKians, right?
Not really. I mean, the airport here is 20 minutes in a car, so from this house. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty easy. We're right in the middle of the country, so the trains go up and down, right to the tip of Scotland and right to the bottom of the country. So, you know, we're not short of transport options now.
You see, the beautiful thing about you, Themba, is that humble. Grounded, always, being, like you said, you are a realist. But which continent have you haven't yet set your foot on and you would like to?
I haven't been to Australia, and I really would like to go to Australia.
Yeah. There's a vibe.
Somewhere that I mean, I've had a few options. It's just, it's very far. Obviously, I've got a little bit of a problem where I have my children and I don't want to be away for that long. Not only that, my partner's a university lecturer, so she's working as well. So for me, I think I need to wait until the kids are a little bit older before I start touring again properly, because in the last year with all the pandemic and everything, I've come quite accustomed to being at home, and I think they have. If I leave now, it's going to be like leaving for the first time again. So Australia, you know where I'd like to go though? I'd like to go to Madagascar on holiday.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, I'd like to go there. I'd like to go to Iceland to see the Aurora Borealis and go in the hot springs and the freezing cold lakes, things like that, and eat smoked fish. Yeah. That's a funny little dream I have. I've been to most continents, to be honest. I think I've been to some really interesting places. Russia was amazing. Japan's always amazing. Korea, I've been to Korea a couple of times, to Seoul. That was amazing. You know, Indonesia is really beautiful. Yeah. The thing about South Africa is a lot more people that are into music there, I think. You know, so you're always going to get the hefty parties there. Yes. So it's hard to quantify everywhere else with South Africa, because it's, I don't know, you know, it's Africa, man. It's where the music came from. So people are going to feel it. Yeah.
The next 5 years, as we're building up to you turning 30 in this business, and I know you never stop working, but are we going to have a sort of a landmark album or release?
Well, I'll give you the exclusive information, shall I?
Thank you.
Because I've only just hinted about this on the internet, but I'm just about finished my, I'd say third solo artist producer album. So I've done other albums in between, and remix albums, and I've done the mix 1 and mix 2 albums. I've done the albums with Julian, etc., and collaborations with other people. But I've done in my head of heads, I've done That's Something, I've done Lab Funk, I've done Full Circle. So this will be my fourth artist album, and so the album's got over 20 songs on it. It's about 22, 23 songs, and it's featuring people like Omar, Max Beasley, CO, I've got Zion as well, so I've got a couple of my South African crew on there. We've got Kaidi Tatham, JD73, Natasha Watts, who else? Rich Medina, Ocean Lade, Charisma, Rob Owens. To the list of featured artists. Pete Simpson, there's another one. I've got George Bazera doing the percussion, who is Saint-Germain's percussionist and used to be the percussionist for Weather Report, Joe Zawinul. Nathan Haynes, saxophonist, flautist. We have Swanky Swagger, who is Octavio N. Santos, who's doing the horns on there. Ross on bass, obviously. So the list of people is really long, I was working before Christmas. I had a period of time where we weren't in lockdown and the kids went back to school for about 2 months.
Yes.
So I just smashed it out really hard. And I've been, since we moved back into this, because I'm in a temporary studio space at the moment.
Yes.
I've been working on the album here, so I'm just trying to get everything sorted so that I can do it a nice Northern Hemisphere summer release. So
sure.
Midwinter for you guys.
Yeah. Are you gonna give us one song to play today?
I can't do that because nothing's finished. No.
Oh, Temba, you are our hope.
How about I give you one of the songs exclusively down the line when it's finished, just for you?
Done. I'll take that.
Right, there we go.
I'll take that.
Let's do that. I'm going to put that, I'm going to set that in stone. There we go, just hit it.
Done.
Hit my anvil. It's stamped it.
In June, midwinter, thereabouts, we're getting the 4th solo artist project from AtJazz. Now, that's something to look forward to. AtJazz, we can't thank you enough. We love what you do, man. And we're just saying to you, with this interview, it's our little gesture to say, keep on doing it. We love it.
Thank you very much. It's an honour to be speaking to you on Kaya FM. So, thank you very much. You know, it's just it's always overwhelming to have the love from South Africa. That's all I have to say.
From us, Temba, we say keep shining.
Thank you very much.